Lorelei Lampkin Innovation Entrepreneurship Center at Ivy Tech Community College Northwest. I bring greetings to you from our Chancellor, Dr. Thomas G. Coley. He was unable to be here today, but he extends his best wishes and success for today's meeting. We hope you enjoyed lunch. How about it? Do I hear a round of applause? And are ready for our focus on innovation. Today is our annual Northwest Indiana Leader Luncheon, so welcome. As those of you know, Ivy Tech Northwest created the Society of Innovators of Northwest Indiana to discover and encourage innovation in our 7-county region. As this is the 10th anniversary year of the Society, we chose to devote this time not to look back over the past decade, but to look ahead to making this our region a region of innovation. It is part of our anniversary activity, which includes the 2014 Innovation Expo on April 12th from 10 to 2 at the Gene Shepherd Community Center in Hammond. Mark it on your calendar. We invite you and your families to join us for a community celebration of creativity and innovation. In a few minutes, John Davies, Assistant Director and Managing Director of the Society of Innovators, will convene our 8-member panel. But my role first is to do a couple things. First, I want to thank everyone for coming today, which I've already have done so, with hyper busy schedules, and believe me, we understand that. We're grateful for your participation. It is important that you are here, and secondly, I want to express special thanks to Dr. Roy Evans, who is in the audience and who served as chair of the society during a time of growth and transition. Roy, could you just please stand a little bit and let's give him a round of applause. There he is. Thank you, Roy. Awfully good seeing you. And thirdly, there are 2 people I want you to meet before we begin our panel conversation. Amongst those will be our dear friend, the creator of, in this area, the World Creativity Innovation Entrepreneurship Week of Celebration. She'll tell you about that. And by way of speaking about innovation, we celebrate this time of year the birthday of Leonardo da Vinci. His birthday is April 15th. The acknowledgement of one of the world's great innovators is part of World Creativity Innovation Week. Our regional celebration is led by Cindy Hedge, co-founder of the Center for Creative Solutions in Michigan City and a 2012 member of the Society. Please welcome Cindy for brief comments about this year's celebration. Cindy?
Thank you, Mario, and thank you all for coming out. Let's also thank Ivy Tech and Purdue Cal for hosting us this afternoon. We appreciate all your efforts as always, so let's give them a hand. As Mario said, this year, again, we're celebrating World Creativity and Innovation Week. This is about our 5th or 6th year to do this. We are doing this in conjunction with a number of community partners, including Ivy Tech. And there are a series of events that we're planning. The idea of this celebration is to focus our community during this time on the idea of the value of innovation and creativity. So we have planned a number of events. This is, I think, the first one in that series. There are several others that I want to invite you to. Omario mentioned that April 15th is the birthday of Leonardo da Vinci. So on that day, I want you to do the following. I want you to finish your tax return, send in your money, then as a celebration, go to your favorite adult eating, drinking establishment and salute Leonardo da Vinci on him. So please do that. Several events that I want to let you know about. One of the events that is coming up that we want and we invite all of you to attend, it's just a family fun evening, is scheduled for Tuesday, April the 22nd from 5 to 7 p.m. Among other things that you'll be able to see, you will have the opportunity to meet Dr. Nikola Tesla, and the great Thomas Edison. So you won't want to miss that, in addition to many other displays and activities. There will be something for everybody, and even if your big thing is eating, you will have wonderful food that is being donated by one of our local restaurants. So if you go out here and you haven't picked up this flyer, it gives you all the details. The location is the LifeWorks building, which is off of 421 south of Michigan City. Please join us for that. Just real quick, I want to give a plug also for another event that we're excited about over in LaPorte County, and it is one that is being sponsored by one of our partners. The LaPorte County Public Library is doing a really super neat event because they have a program scheduled on April the 16th at the Public Library in LaPorte, and the focus is on some entrepreneurs who have started from scratch a donut business. So that'll be real interesting. So again, enjoy your adult beverage on Leonardo da Vinci, and we hope to see you on the 22nd. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Only an attorney would probably come up here and say, go and toast Leonardo da Vinci and don't worry about a lawsuit because she'll take care of her side anyway. But again, thank you. It's so wonderful to have developed a partnership over the last 3 years with her organization. And it just really, as we continue to do here with Purdue, and of course we work with, and our buddies are over there who just had a big sale here, all about innovation and entrepreneurship. Deshaun, hello there, good seeing you. And so what happened is that we work together to make it work. And we know that we work together in Northwest Indiana, great and amazing things can happen because everything we need, we have it right here. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Richard Sussman. He's the chair of the Society of Innovators of Northwest Indiana. Dr. Sussman succeeded Dr. Evans and has done a spectacular job. As many of you know, Dick is former general manager of the ArcelorMittal Global R&D Center, East Chicago. Dick is now retired and is working on his second book on innovation. Help me welcome Dick Sussman.
Thanks, Miriam. It's always difficult to follow Miriam with her enthusiasm and great enthusiasm. Well, I'd like to say a few words about the prospects and importance of innovation. The importance of regional growth through innovation is now well established. Globally, it's become almost a standard refrain. Everybody knows about the region south of San Francisco. It was a farming community 35 years ago, now known as Silicon Valley, and is virtually synonymous with innovations in information technology, computers, and communication technology. And the greater Boston area has become a cluster leader for nanotechnology, robotics, and other high-tech industry. All of these regions really combine great universities with profit and nonprofit institutions and available capital to propel themselves into leadership positions. These examples are apparent and well documented. However, there are less obvious and more pertinent examples for this region. I moved here from Pittsburgh 9 years ago, and after living there 5 years. And during that time, I had an opportunity to witness and be a small part, a contributor to a quiet renaissance in the Steel City. Pittsburgh shares a great deal in common with Northwest Indiana. A former steel capital, Pittsburgh steel industry and industrial base shrank dramatically in the late 20th century. It left the city somewhat devastated, but not the people, the spirit. The region had fine universities such as Carnegie Mellon, University of Pittsburgh, and a strong core of medical services, including excellent research hospitals and institutions. From this base, regional entrepreneurs developed medical equipment, marketed first domestically and then later internationally. Pharmaceutical companies started to develop new drugs and became established and encouraged international companies to move into the region. Companies developing innovative fire and police safety equipment continue to grow. And nonprofit institutions such as the Pittsburgh Technology Council played important roles in shaping strategy, training, and attracting funding for new ventures. All this was accomplished in a relatively short period of about 15 years. At the same time, heavy industry continued to have a presence, and now the region is becoming a center for natural gas fracking with its prospects of North American energy independence. So are there lessons that Northwest Indiana can learn from the example of the revitalization of Pittsburgh? I think so. Take manufacturing for one, but not the only opportunity. Northwest Indiana has even a more vital industrial base than Pittsburgh, retaining strong steel and oil refining industries that continue to innovate with new products and processes. The manufacturing skill base has been maintained. Many fine institutions in the Chicagoland area are training grounds for business and technical innovators. The region has an established internal transportation system, strong international business presence, and is blessed with regional leaders with vision and energy. Like Pittsburgh, natural gas fracking offers an opportunity to revitalize our national manufacturing industries that are dependent on low energy and available energy. The Northwest Indiana Times reported on March 16th that Chicago had far and away the largest expansion of new manufacturing facilities of any metro area in the country in the past year. With planning already started, our region should benefit from its proximity to Chicago and the many initiatives here. So these are just some thoughts I had in kicking off this symposium. We're assembling here a distinguished panel of Northwest Indiana's business and institutional leaders, and they'll discuss their ideas on how to use innovation to strengthen growth in our region. And now I'd like to pass it along, I think, to Dr. Chen Zhao, who will have her put her glasses on and have some entertainment.
Thank you for those inspiring words and make us think about rallying behind innovation as a significant regional goal. After all, our mantra in the Society of Innovators is anybody can be an innovator. Innovation is the lifeblood of the region, and innovation is everywhere, in every sector, and certainly found across all walks of life. This is an appropriate segue to introduce my buddy, my friend, my colleague, John Davies, Assistant Director of the Gerald I. Lampkin Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center and the Managing Director of the Society of Innovators from day one. John they'll introduce the speakers, and then you'll hear from Chen. And so with that, John Davies.
Thank you all for coming. We're in for a treat today. We're asking our panel, what will it take to encourage better, faster, and more innovation over the next decade? Simply, our goal for innovation is more ambitious and encompassing than what presently prevails. Is it not possible, we ask, not only to have better, faster, and more innovation, but also to make our region, Northwest Indiana, known for innovation? For starters, there are three things I'd like you to remember. First, our thanks to the generosity of spirit to Dr. Chen Zhao. We are being hosted here at CIUS, which is one of the most innovative workspaces anywhere, any place. Secondly, we are grateful for Don Babcock's sponsorship for today's event. So our thanks to Don and to NIPSCO. And thirdly, I want to thank in advance our outstanding panel that has been convened today. On that note, we ask that you hold your questions until after all 8 speakers have finished their remarks. We will then call our speakers back and invite your questions. Before we begin, I want to take you back in time to a historical moment celebrated by a South Shore poster. As you look at this poster, I want you to imagine what it was like to leap off a dune. I'm sure it was a journey of discovery for Augustus Herring, who made that historic flight on August 29, 1896. This little Chinook Herring glider went on to launch a new era in aviation history. This poster is like a message in a bottle of over 100 years ago. Now fast forward to today, and Crown Point native Jerry Ross, the only human to fly on 7 space shuttle missions. Jerry will be inducted into the U.S. Astronaut Hall of Fame on May 3rd, 2014. Clearly, we hope today's program will remind us that anything is possible if we reach for greatness. Now we turn to the focus by our panel on today's challenge. How do we inspire more, better, and faster innovation for Northwest Indiana, or do we? We're asking our 8 panelists to speak for no more than 8 minutes each. Well, Mario will help keep us on track. To begin, it is my honor to introduce Dr. Chin-Kyu Zhao, a world expert on visualization and simulation. Our first panelist has many distinctions over her career, but the one I find most fascinating is that she introduced the world's first virtual blast furnace created with this technology to audiences around the world. Please welcome Dr. Zhao, founding CEVIS director and our host today.
Thank you, John. Congratulations on the wonderful event, as always. Welcome, everyone, to my home. It's beautiful and useful. So I was asked to talk about 2024 technologies for innovation in Northwest Indiana. 2024 is actually about the time for my retirement. True. My husband is talking about moving to Chicago by then. I think I can convince him to stay if, let's put on the glasses. The lights off a little bit. If in 2024, Northwest Indiana will have higher quality of life, better economy, and will be known for the hubs of advanced manufacture, advanced transportation, and advanced healthcare. All of this will require much stronger physical and digital infrastructure. Lights on, please. So how do we get there? To get there, we need technologies to help provide innovative solutions. Let's see some great technologies. And do you know what's this? That's the latest Google Glass. We just got this. Technologies can provide pathways for more, better, and faster innovations. Today, I'm going to focus on 2 technologies that are near to my heart. You can guess what? Simulation and visualization technologies. I believe they will be an essential part of our future because they can provide more efficient, effective, economic, and fast ways with unlimited applications, such as design, troubleshooting, optimization, education, and training. In fact, as you know, Civils has already worked with over 80 organizations since 2009, and many of them you're here. So we have already made significant educational and economical impacts, saved way over $30 million. Let me give you 3 quick examples. As we know, digital manufacture is now a national focus. Steel manufacture, as Dick said, is an important part here, has been and will be an integral part of our region. Blast furnace is a key component in iron steel making. It is very capital and energy intensive. We have worked with steel industry, developed a few virtual blast furnace simulators, and to address all the important issues such as energy efficiency, environment, training cost. So let's take a look at one of the example. One of the virtual blast furnace glasses on, please. As you can see, this is from near Lake Michigan, and it's a short movie. In the past, nobody can get inside during the operation. Now you can. Okay, now we're flying all the way from the top, diving like a coke particle or iron ore. What you see here is not just animation, and you can get inside not only learn how it works, but also what's going on inside to optimize the operation. So we actually already saved a lot of money, millions of dollars. For example, this case, red color is high temperature. It caused some burning of pipes. And by figuring out what's wrong and how to fix this problem, we actually saved more than $8.5 million per year for this small part for US Steel, and reduced downtime by 50%. Next example, transportation is a key area that can help vitalize our region. Thanks to Mayor Tom McDermott, we actually worked with City of Hammond, simulated and visualized traffic for proposed roundabouts. We made a video for public presentations to help people understand the impacts of roundabouts on traffic, safety, and pollution. Let's take a look at the video, a short version.
Roundabouts have proven to reduce queue length in approaching lanes, decrease the number of fatal crashes by over 90%, injury crashes by over 75%, and reduce the amount of emission gases by 20%. This important segment of Hammond's transportation network will create a grand entrance into the city of Hammond, enhance a major east-west corridor through the city, and through renewed infrastructure create a sense of community, all while comparably reducing emissions, congestion, travel time, and crashes. Thus, this project will serve as a focal point for the city and the region for many years to come.
Last example. Healthcare is extremely important for high quality of life. We have worked with our nursing faculty, developed a virtual med station. So in hospitals, a med station is used for withdrawing medication for patients. Unfortunately, medication errors are very common. So we developed this virtual med station used for research and training to find out, to learn how to use the system and to find out what causes errors and how to reduce errors. So let's take a look at the virtual med station. So this is a typical one. Our nursing faculties brought the nurses from area hospitals to test out this system. So what they do is they try to operate the system and they try to study what errors can be caused under different interrupting conditions, such as phone ringing, people asking questions, problem, on computers. This could happen randomly, one at a time, or all together. So preliminary results, write some please. Preliminary results showed very promising on the effectiveness of virtual training of this system. So in summary, I truly believe that advanced technologies are essential for innovation for our future. Northwestern Indiana, our region, has the talents and the resources to shape our future with technologies. Thank you.
Now it is my honor to introduce our second panelist, Stuart G. McMillan, who is the Gerald R. Lampkin Fellow for Innovation in Service. Stuart was recognized for leading task force tips to become an innovative leader in water flow equipment world.
Right behind these glasses. I don't think I've ever felt like I was preaching to the choir like I do today. This is all the group that is here because they're at the forefront of innovation. When John asked me to speak today, I was pretty unsure of what I would say. But I've learned after 10 years of working with Mr. Davies that to say no is futile. You just agree and you decide to figure it out later. What made this task difficult was that John wanted us to focus on what would be needed for Northwest Indiana to be successful. I struggle with that because I believe that a big part of our problem is that we think of ourselves too often as Northwest Indiana, rather than being the crossroads of America. It is a global economy, and we need to think globally, not regionally. Well, here we are. It's at that later time, and when you participate in something like this, it is, I believe, common for people to feel like, is anything I'm going to say today matter? Especially when talking about the future and how to plan for it, or even having the audacity to think that we can envision it. But this past week, I was at the TED conference in Canada. I would imagine, knowing the people in this room, many of you have seen TED videos. And I have attended the TED conference for the last 4 years. And I can tell you that for me personally, it's been the most life-changing event that you can imagine. And I realized coming back from there that I don't have to reach all of you, I only have to reach one of you. Because innovation is about sparking something that changes the way a person thinks to a different way of thinking that makes them on a new path that takes them to a successful outcome. You can't help but get fired up about the future when you're around 750 people at a TED conference that are hell-bent on creating it. Each of these talks affects the viewer in a very different way, and the discussions afterwards frequently illustrate that. It is stating the obvious to say the world is changing at a pace that outstretches possibly our ability to adapt to that change. The revolution in information technology is changing the way we work, and more importantly, where we work. And therefore, one of the biggest innovations that are occurring is in not only how work is accomplished, but the very definition of what work is, as you saw here, a virtual world. My most favorite business book of all times, if there is such a thing, and I don't sound like a geek even having a favorite business book, is Good to Great by Jim Collins. The book teaches many key principles about business. And one of them that I think applies the most to today is that the first step towards implementing innovation and change is to face the brutal facts. I believe the leadership of our region and the people that elect them have to face some brutal facts. We have some very strong points. We don't have mudslides, we don't have forest fires, we don't have hurricanes, we don't have earthquakes. And thankfully, we lie at the end of Tornado Alley. Okay, so we have a bad winter now and then. But we have abundant water, open space, the Great Lakes, access to raw materials, and most importantly, people that come from a long history of making things. And we are located in the heartland of the greatest country in the world. My question is, when will we embrace the industry and opportunity that we have here instead of longing for something different? When will we learn to stop treating the industry that we have been blessed to have as a result of our location as a friend and not an enemy? When will we make the industry that we have feel wanted, rather than constantly wishing that they were something else that they are not? I believe that we have to face the brutal facts and play to the strengths that we have, not the ones that we wish we had. With the mobility of the information worker, we have to realize that no matter how much we want to attract that kind of worker, we are not going to compete with the beaches of California, the mountains of Colorado, and the climate of Florida. Our strength is our location, and no matter what information flow changes take place in the future, the fact is that until we develop teletransportation of goods and services, we need to function in our everyday life. They will still need to be manufactured, and they will still need to be distributed to the people that need them. We are ideally located to manufacture, and even more ideally located to distribute those goods to a nation, indeed a world that needs them. This past week, I attended an event where Governor Pence was the keynote speaker, and he addressed this very issue. We are at the crossroads of America, and we need to start acting like that matters. One of my favorite quotes is from Rick Warren, the writer of The Purpose-Driven Life, the only book to be outsold by the Bible. In that book, Rick Warren makes a statement that all of us that are or aspire to be leaders must take to heart and learn how to implement in our daily life. That quote is that leadership is the art of managing disappointment. Leadership is the art of managing disappointment. It takes leadership to make hard choices that are right for the greater good while causing disappointment for some number of people. Leaders have to have the wisdom to determine what is right for the silent majority while resisting the protests of the vocal minority. This is true in business, and it's certainly true in politics. The incredible amount of time and effort that has been taken to accomplish something as vital to our future as the Ileana Expressway is an excellent example of where we need leadership that can manage disappointment. If we are to perform on our slogan of being the crossroads of America, then it would seem to me that we need to have roads. So building to our strengths of location and resources, for me, is where the future for us lies. One other thing I would think has to change is our approach to education. Another TED Talk that I would encourage you looking at was done by a guy named Sir Ken Robinson. And in this inspiring 20-minute talk, he chronicles the roots of our education system to England at a time when the English Empire needed cookie-cutter trained people to go out to the world and manage a vast empire that was unconnected. Our schools, to a large degree, still focus on this paradigm, cramming a standard set of memorized information into a student. In the age of the internet, it's not about having information, it's about having the ability to make sense of that information. It's about collaboration and building off the ideas of others that help us to innovate. Our methods of education need to fundamentally change to recognize the brutal fact that Google's here to stay, and it's only to begin. My wish would be that we could go back in time and strike the phrase alternative education from our vocabulary. As it is understood today by most people, the word alternative is synonymous with inferior. We need to change that dialogue. My belief is that the future is the manufacturing and distribution of goods that our nation needs, and we are at the epicenter of that need. We must put vocational training back on the pedestal that it deserves. Vocational education is not alternative education. It's merely education. It's education that creates a foundation for a career. This focus also has been the focus of Governor Pence, and as parents and educators need to support him as this puts people in meaningful careers. The United States is still today the largest manufacturing nation on earth. Let's not fall for the media hype that manufacturing is dead, as its jobs that are created are dead. It's simply not true. But if you tell enough people the same lie long enough, eventually the lie becomes the truth, and the truth becomes the lie. There has always been a place in the world that has cheaper labor. So what? If labor becomes a small enough part of your cost because of automation, that the cost of labor is no longer a factor that differentiates you between other countries, then labor cost no longer matters. The steel mills are a tremendous example that this is true. They make more steel than they've ever made with a third of the people. Automation, and those people are all making more money than they made back in relative terms. So I encourage us all to face the brutal facts, quit wishing to be like we're some other place we're not, and acknowledge those weaknesses and invest in our strengths, because we have many. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. Now it is my honor to introduce our third panelist, Mayor Joseph Stahura, whose leadership is helping transform the city on the lake with new investment and exciting infrastructure. He's a 2011-12 Society member. Please welcome Mayor Stahura, representing the public sector.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm actually honored to be here. I will stop short of guaranteeing that a politician can stay within 8 minutes. I'd like to start off the day with what I call conflicting definitions, and I hope it's at least humorous. Of course, the online dictionary defines innovation as a new idea, a device, or a method, or an act or process of introducing new ideas, devices, or methods. You know, most of my constituents, or general public, though, tend to think that public sector is defined as a group of leaders who are capable of innovating. And I say that in jest to it kind of puts you into a politician or a mayor's or public sector leader's shoes. You know, the challenges we face are quite different than the public sector or the private sector. You know, first, the public perception of our sector is obviously not stellar in all cases. For the most part, our sector is mirrored in bureaucracy. And of course, our structure is slow-moving and cumbersome. And believe it or not, most of that is by design. So I say what continuing to change is, you know, we're often forced, because of those factors, to use past history to forge the future. And of course, we always achieve the same results. In some cases, the legislature has hindered us rather than encouraging innovation. Briefly, I'll talk about a quick example. A few years ago, the legislature gave municipalities broad authorities to consolidate and to save money with all other public entities. On first glance, it was a very welcome law. But the last paragraph says that all the savings that you achieve by doing that will take it from you. Okay? So if you merge with a city or a department and you saved $1 million of your budget or your levy is removed. So another challenge is that the tolerance for risk in our business to drive innovation is very low. You know, part of that is because we're using taxpayer dollars. So the tolerance or acceptance of using taxpayer dollars to be creative is, of course, at least under pressure at times. And of course, the election process always changes things. You know, no politician who wants to remain a politician will do anything risky in an election cycle. In today's world, you know, we're all public sector entities are facing similar issues. You know, we have declining revenues. Not that you wouldn't notice today driving here that we have failing infrastructure. I think I've only hit 73 potholes on the way here. There's numerous unfunded mandates. Innovation, of course, is an important tool, and now it has to be our most important tool. If we don't embrace it, our cities and towns and our constituents will eventually lose. So let's begin answering the question. You know, what will it take to encourage more, better, and faster innovation over the next decade in my world of the public sector? I believe John's group and the Innovators Group is a huge portion of getting that started and keeping the ball and momentum rolling. We need to showcase the examples of positive innovation in the public sector every time it happens. A lot of times it's not successful. I'll explain a little bit about that in the next slide. But you're doing a fantastic job so far, and I do appreciate that because the encouragement needs to You need to challenge us and get us out of our box. I think we also need to change some of the rules of the game. You know, if our neighboring states or in the global economy or neighboring countries have more flexibility, better rules, and can do things differently than we can, then of course we're going to lose in the end. We also need to reach out to the private sector and to learn from their best practices and ask for assistance. I needed to put this in, but I need to make it clear that I hear this often, that you need to run your city like a business. We physically can't run our cities like a business. It's not a free market. Our restrictions are totally different than the private sector. And while we need to entertain the good and positive in the private sector that we can steal and use, we certainly can't operate solely like a business because of our regulated structure. We also need to take some risks. They have to be reasonable, and of course we have to challenge them more. And I guess nobody in this room would, or everybody understands that. But in the business of running a community or municipality, risk is not necessarily something that you say is welcome or is widespread. And of course, we can't be afraid of making a mistake. You know, in a political world, a mistake sometimes leads to not only loss of public funds, but it's career changing for a lot of people, and some people are more worried about their careers than they are the success of their municipality. I have some real world examples here that I can relate to from the city of Whiting. I'll gloss over them. I just want to maybe highlight a couple of them. Most of them involve partnerships that we've created that were totally different and totally unusual. And the first one I'll talk real briefly. Hammond and Whiting now actually showcase our recreational activities by marketing them together. Now, two municipalities typically are competing against each other to attract visitors and tourists into their community, but we felt it was best to actually market the cities of Hammond and Whiting together. There's a lot of that's going on right now, and I'm going to just a quick brief overview. We also jointly bid to reduce costs. Whiting benefits from the economies of scale of the size of Hammond. So we're out for a ride, and we get much better deals on asphalt and concrete work every year. And of course, the Munster Highland Fire Department combination was an excellent idea, an innovative idea, even though it wasn't successful. Also, looking at joint options between Hammond, Whiting, and Chicago to actually dredge our harbors at the same time. You know, 50% of the cost of dredging a boat harbor is the mobilization of the vendor. Okay, and last year we each used 3 different vendors. Okay, so obviously there's room for improvement. Okay, this is one that I get accolades on from time to time, but it was just common sense. We were faced to build a new water plant at a cost of $6.5 million in capital costs. The capital costs would have doubled our rate structure for our city consumers. We actually negotiated a deal with Hammond to provide us the water. We used a water line that was put in for our lakefront project at no cost to carry the water from Hammond to Whiting. We saved the entire capital cost and $175,000 a year in operating costs. But my biggest success was it freed up a ton of land to develop on the lakefront on top of that savings. Another thing is in Whiting, small community, it's very hard to attract outside development. It's hard to find financing, it's hard to find comparables, it's hard to find people willing to invest money in your community. So when we had the problem of entertaining developers with doors always closed, we began buying real estate ourselves and creating development opportunities internally. To date, in my 10 years, we've purchased over 10% of the number of parcels of the city, in the entire city. We've sold them, resold them, developed new homes, opened land up for business development. This is truly the catalyst for the lakefront project and for approximately $200 million in development that's on the table right now or in progress. We also were creative when we eventually ran out of retail space because the remaining properties in town were so poorly maintained that nobody really wanted to rent them. So the city began buying them. We bought them, renovated them, brought them up to standards, vanilla boxed them, resold them to somebody who's willing to put a business in some cases for $1, in some cases for the cost we paid for them, but in all cases we subsidized the purchase and facilitated deals to get businesses in. And also, one of the things that we probably started a lot of what's happening in Whiting is that trying to find a developer to build a new home in a 130-year-old city wasn't exactly easy to do. So we actually tore down 2 blocks of older properties, and since after 7 years of the property remaining vacant, I called the shop to build the first house with city money. So we built the first house, took a construction loan out, and by the time the first construction loan payment was due, we sold the home, and we did that 13 times after that. Okay, so believe it or not, every municipality is innovating in some way today. They may not know it because we're all trying to do things now. A lot of it's being forced on us because of the rapid change in Indianapolis. But I really believe that if we can change the mindset of the current officials and get some legislative relief, that we can really flourish innovatively here in the county and in Northwest Indiana.
Just a comment. We are part of a team at Ivy Tech, and I would like to recognize not only Lynette Fulton Driver, but especially the leadership of O'Muriel Boucher. Please join me in recognizing O'Muriel Boucher for the leadership. Now it is my honor to introduce our 4th panelist, Maggie Sparks, President of the Unity Foundation of LaPorte County. Maggie is a board governor with the Society of Innovators. Please welcome Maggie Sparks, representing the nonprofit sector. Maggie.
So I'm going to start with John. When John asked me if I would do it, it didn't take very long for me to say yes, because I do love talking about innovation, and it's been a real pleasure and privilege to serve on the society. Oops. Oh, I'm like Joe, I'm too trigger happy here. When we were looking at how to define innovation, I love the way the society has defined innovation, and if you want to know, it's on the website. But I love this visual that we didn't create, but we kind of tweaked it, where it talks about the 3 levels, the continuum of innovation, which is sustaining or incremental, the green is transformational or significant, and the 3rd arrow is disruptive or game-changing. So you've heard examples of some of those innovations already through our previous presenters. So I think that I agree with Joe and the others that we're already innovating, but do we recognize it? Are we consciously confident about the fact that we're innovating when we're innovating it? And I would have to say, honestly, heck no. Because anytime we come up with a nomination for the Society of Innovators, somebody's nominated, they say, I was just solving a problem. I was just, doing my job. I was just lucky. Okay? So do we really recognize it? And that's the beauty of the work of the society, is that we are catching people being innovative. And now we've caught a lot of people being innovative. And I just personally love hearing the stories. So we need to ask ourselves the question too, when we innovated, first of all, did we? And I bet everybody in this room could say that they innovated something, right? Is there any? So you're all nodding your heads. And if you didn't nod your head, that means you probably aren't even aware of what you've innovated. But if you're a member of the society, you know what you've innovated. So when we innovated, what happened? What was going on? What was the culture like in our organization or around the kitchen table or whatever we were innovating? What was that? And then how could we as a region create a culture of innovation in our organizations and, as Stu mentioned, with those that aren't even at the table, when he talked about his definition of leadership, for all those we serve, because it's not just what we do in our organizations, it's how are we helping the people that we're supposed to be helping or serving. And it goes down to the theme of the Society of Innovators, which everyone needs to be an innovator, even the homeless person or the mother trying to take care of her 2 children. Everyone needs to be an innovator, and they are, and they just don't know it. So my journey goes back to 22 years ago when I got involved to starting this first ever planning process in LaPorte County. And what did I know? I had just graduated from Leadership LaPorte County, just moved back from Chicago to my hometown, and ended up chairing this activity because we had people falling away. So there was a subgroup of that, and it actually was very successful. It's called Take Charge, came out of Purdue Cooperative Extension. And so this vision statement was created by this group, and it says, we envision LaPorte County to be a dynamic county, recognized for its investment in its people, its economic vitality, rich quality life, and they added innovative leadership and supportive citizenry. And this was developed and approved by this group in 1992, which all sounds good. Which actually, the fact that a county has a vision statement is kind of innovative in itself. After the process, the politicians came, Joe took all the credit for the effort, and some improvements were made. It was funny. And they didn't mean to. They were reluctant, but the media put them up in front of the podium. Wait a minute, whatever. It doesn't matter who gets credit, right? So, and we did have some important changes take place in county government as a result of that, and that was pretty powerful. But the fact that we had the word innovative in here stuck in my mind, and I kept this piece of paper around, and I pull it out periodically and look at it. So then a couple years ago, we decided to bring this back up. Our board of directors of the Community Foundation adopted this, and we're now encouraging other community organizations to adopt it as well. Because what if we all have the same vision? Oh, what a concept. And again, it's not regional, it's not Crossroads of Indiana, but it's a start, okay? It's a start. So.
Crossroads of America.
America, I'm sorry, that's for America, thanks, Stu. So we have adopted that. Now, when we talk about innovation, I was on vacation and I got to visit young people in California, my son mostly, my middle son Dylan, who's a graphic artist. Fast Company was laying around, and here's the title, the world's 50 most innovative companies. And who is this man? I met him a couple years ago. He's a teacher, and he developed game-changing infrastructure called Donors Choose, where he was just trying to help teachers in inner city New York get school supplies like copier paper and pencils. But it turned out to be this very innovative platform. He's now reached over 10 million students, and now it's where he can connect donors, people who want to help education, maybe get beyond the Ken Robinson's paradigm, and help get money right into the teacher's hands in projects in the teacher's hands. His name is Charles Best, and now he's even taking his next generation of this to actually figure out gaps where you can identify a school funding issue by just looking at what the teachers are asking for. So the teachers go post their project, and anybody can go on and fund it, and by the time you get back to your office, you'll have a thank you note, because that's exactly what I did once. It was really great. So, and if you think his innovation is transformative, crowdsourced fundraising is really going to rock. It was one thing that young people in California were so excited about. We are about to be inundated as a nonprofit community, but also as you as donors, to give your money online through some group. And it could be through your favorite musician, it could be through another thing. And in fact, we in Northwest Indiana are having a Give Day event, online giving, May 6th. It's called Give Local America. It's part of a national campaign to celebrate the 100th anniversary of community foundations. So when we look at the paradigm shift, this infographic from the Monitor Institute really talks about what needs to happen by 2024 if we're going to meet John's requirements. We have to shift from trying to predict what our social service needs are going to be to actual experiments. And this is where Dr. Chen's program can be helpful, because we can fail fast. She can help us fail fast and figure out how to predict and actually test things out. Data collection, that has been such a difficult thing in our community, so difficult. Just even having nonprofits learn how to use an Excel spreadsheet has been incredibly frustrating. I mean, seriously, folks. So, but we need to move beyond that, and maybe we can leapfrog some of these things, and then get right into pattern recognition. We got to recognize those patterns, so maybe we can prevent some of these things happening. We can prevent the homeless issue before it happens if we have some pattern recognition. We can see them before they fall off the cliff. And then execution from the top down, move it to execution by the whole. So, and that's a big issue, what we need to deal with. And some of you are already doing it, but we need to do more of it. The other motivation, nonprofits are also funders, such as us. So there's a quote here from the National Committee for Responsive Philanthropy, and the quote reads, "Many grant makers continue to operate as if they can make a meaningful difference applying Band-Aids to big problems with their relatively small resources. Civic participation and policy engagement is a winning combination for foundations seeking the best possible results to achieve their goals. For every dollar invested in policy and civic engagement, provided a return of $115 in community benefit. Are we there yet? No, but it would be great to be closer there by 2024. So innovative consequences, we were also supposed to address some innovative consequences for what could happen with innovation. I just thought of a few. One is technology could overwhelm the resources. Like an example that Bill Gates cited in Rolling Stone this month was $1 million for one chemo treatment. Okay, it may eradicate that particular but who pays for that? Organ transplants for the very elderly, who pays for that? The other one are innovations that have started out for good but turned to harm, and then innovations that displace people in jobs. Can we ever envision a society where some people, it's okay for them not to work? I mean, we're so tied to our jobs. So, and that was from Robert Reich. Innovation competency, I think we really have to develop a core competencies of innovation. What does that mean? Most of us are innovative by accident. So, and if you don't have a core competency in innovation, how will you survive the new normal? There is actually a place in our region to go and develop this core competency. It's a 2-day innovation immersion program to think about and implement innovation in any organization, and it's nearby. It's the File Innovation Center, and their whole idea is to teach your organization, take 5 people, it's not expensive, spend 2 days, and your organization will never be the same. And I don't work for them. Imagine 2024, where we can consciously, deliberately, and effectively innovate. Imagine where core competency of innovation is taught everywhere. It's a part of our culture. And imagine that we might get 10 times the community benefit for our collective efforts. So, thank you.
Thank you, Spark. Now it is my honor to introduce our 5th panelist, Linda Walishansky, President of the Center of Workforce Innovations. Linda is a 2008 member in the Society. Please welcome Linda Walishansky.
Thank you, John, and I certainly echo everyone else saying, who can say no to John? No one can. It's quite amazing, quite a skill you have there. So good afternoon. So, I know it's April, but we're really in March Madness still, aren't we? Any of you still involved with your brackets? Anybody have UConn? No? No? Yeah, of course. So win or lose, it certainly is an honor for those players, their coach, and their school to be among the Final Four. Competition isn't foreign to us here in Northwest Indiana. It isn't foreign to Spiros, with the Convention Bureau or Don Babcock at NIPSCO. They're competing every day for visitors and for jobs. But what would it take over the next 10 years to be widely recognized among this nation's Final Four regions in the country for preparing high school students for college and career success, with our region's success being attributed to the pioneering efforts started recently through the READY Initiative? Or to be among the top communities with respect to gains in household income predicated on new jobs that paid highly skilled workers high wages? Or to boast the creation of the most patents or the most innovations in the country? Well, and how might all this relate to innovation and workforce development? Well, I believe there are 4 innovations in workforce development that will take Northwest Indiana to that Final Four. One is new collaboration. The second is industry recognized credentials. The 4th is work-based learning. And the 5th is the use of new technology. So let me explain. I think we talked collaboration. I think Stu might have mentioned that, but we really believe that all workforce development programs, providers, systems, including K-12 and post-secondary, must collaborate with employers. We have to develop a demand-driven system in workforce development. And why? Well, we've heard it today. In order to prepare students and job seekers for their place in the economy, educators need to know the employers who make up their economy and what their needs are. They have to know. Now, we talk about knowing, but we really don't know who they are and what they do. And this will be essential in order to drive the right programming, the right curriculum, everything that students need to learn, that folks in workforce development need to learn, have to be driven knowing what those outcomes are. Advances in the workplace are occurring at such a high speed, which we've all heard about, that building relationships so that those in the classroom, those in workforce development actually know what's happening and are able to translate that will be critical. You know, one of my favorites is Tom Friedman. And, you know, he talks about technology, Chen, and things that you do, but, you know, he talks about GE and how in the past when GE was building a jet engine part, a designer would have to design the product, machine tools would have to be made to make the prototype, and then it would be, you have to manufacture the part and then you test it, and that took about 2 years. Today, engineers use three-dimensional computer-aided design software to design the part on a computer screen, transmit it to a 3D printer, which builds or prints it to the exact specifications, and then it is tested the same day. You can have a product in a week. Medicine is also utilizing this 3D technology, and surgeons are kind of printing organs and parts of the body so that they can practice surgery before they actually perform it on a patient. So it is critical that educators and workforce professionals really know what these changes are so they can translate it into the classroom so students learn. Now, industry recognized credentials. You know, industry associations have long developed their own credentials, and these credentials really provide employers with a standard method of identifying qualified candidates. They know that they have the competencies that they need in order to perform the job. The workforce development system must work with employers to accelerate this, to advance this, to really understand what these competencies are and to help create these credentials. Because no longer is the associate's or the bachelor's or the master's degree an adequate proxy for what people have learned. You know, credentials do it. And I think that if our post-secondary institutions, again, work with the employers and help design the credentials, then we can make them portable, we can make them stackable, and we can build them into degree programs so that people can take a look at what they're learning along the way, have their certifications and credentials, and exceed very well in the workplace and in their life. The third innovation, and many of these will sound like things that you know, and you do know them, but work-based learning. You know, Stu talked about career and technical education, vocational education. And you know, 60% of learners prefer to learn in an experiential setting. So we have to do more to combine the academic with the work-based learning. We need to really take a look at how you can, in our education system, work with employers so that students can have that opportunity to work and learn at the same time. You know, Apple's iPhone was introduced in 2005, and the iPad, now in its 4th generation, is just 4 years old. You know, video gaming has really focused and helped the defense industry. And so, you know, we really need to be able to use these kinds of tools to help young people learn. I mean, that's how they connect with learning. And so more that we can do to integrate that into the classroom, the faster, the further, the more engaged those students will be. And we'll be able to kind of create this innovative learning strategy that we need to accelerate learning. You know, online learning, which also has been around, still is gaining further traction and needs to move farther faster. You know, the momentum is there. If you have paid attention, you know, Harvard and MIT are providing open and free courseware online to advance learning. The online learning can open doors. It can open doors for people that are not close to programs, who are not close to universities, people who want to learn in the middle of the night or on the weekend when there's no formal classrooms in session. There are just different ways that students can access and will access learning if it is readily available and it's made user-friendly, and we really embrace it as a tool and a way to learn rather than as a sidebar. You know, so when I think about 2024, I think it really is right around the corner. You know, the older I get, the faster time goes by, so I really begin to feel a sense of urgency about all of this. You know, as jobs change faster than we can imagine, we know the skill sets of students graduating from high school and college, job seekers re-entering the labor market, and our existing workforce really need to improve. We have analyzed what is needed, and we did this a couple of years ago, and we looked at the fact that 60% of our workforce, or 362,000 people, must be credentialed or degreed by 2024 in order to just sustain the employers that we have here. So what that really means is that based on our projections, which Maggie talked about, you know, we have to ramp this up by 200,000 people with additional credentials or degrees than what we will have if we're continuing at the current pace. 200,000, that's a lot, but it can be done. It can be done. So while the workforce innovations I cited included collaboration and credentials and work-based learning and technology, you know, we can't forget the overarching elements to success. Great basketball teams, like great cities and great companies, really rely on great leaders. Even though the coach for the University of Connecticut is only in his second year, this year makes the 5th time in 15 years that UConn has made it to the Final Four. That's leadership. That's great tradition. So, you know, we have to challenge ourselves. Is Northwest Indiana Champion Innovator of 2024 within you, sitting next to you, your children, or are they in the classroom? If our region is to be cited as a great region for great jobs, livable communities, and a wonderful place to visit, the true madness of March will be if we fail to innovate in the workforce arena. You know, we have really started on the path, and we hope you will join us. Thank you.
Now it is my pleasure to introduce our 6th panelist, Dr. Peggy Gerard. Peggy is Interim Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs and Provost, Purdue University, Calumet. Please welcome Dr. Peggy Gerard.
I'll hold it this way then. Well, good afternoon, and I want to thank John Davies and the Society of Innovators for inviting me to share my thoughts on innovations in higher education by 2014. I was going to talk a little bit about the imperative for higher education and the need for us to greatly accelerate the number of students that have degrees to meet the future demands of our workforce and our local economy. Linda has already done a great job with that, so I can skip over to the next section. But I do feel that there are great challenges for higher education, and we need to be building on some of the things we're already doing that I'm going to show you in a minute or two. Thinking about new ways to take the technologies that are out there and available and that our students and all of us are using them, but bringing them to the education environment and creating a very vibrant situation where students are not passive learners but active creators of knowledge. And then there's ways that we can collaborate also, that we need to do a better job within the higher education institutions in the area. So by working like that, we can improve educational attainment, we can increase economic opportunity, all the while we're preparing a competent workforce. So how do we accomplish this? I think we can accomplish this in 3 different ways, 3 different focuses. One is by reaching farther. We need to, as higher ed institutions, we need to reach out to the communities and to the K through 12 educational partners to help teachers and help students learn new ways of learning. We need to embrace new technologies, as I said before, and we need to expand collaborations. So let's talk a little bit about each of these things. One of the things that we're doing at Purdue Calumet, and Civis is a partner, integral partner of that, is something called Mission Ocean. Mission Ocean was developed originally in 1997 by a team of faculty here at Purdue Calumet, and then was revamped in 2009 by Chen and her colleagues. And it includes immersive virtual reality, and the focus is to help elementary and middle school teachers to deliver math, science, and technology through collaborative teaching methods based on deep sea submarine research and rescue simulations. So it's basically taking like a video game technology that we know how much our kids really enjoy that, and our grandkids, and put them in this environment and create it so that they're learning in spite of themselves, almost to speak. They are learning while they think they're playing, in other words. And we're teaching the teachers how to create situations that that help students to do this. And you can see the picture on the right that shows the students with the 3D glasses on, like all of us were wearing a few minutes ago, but the intensity on those students' faces and how much they're engaged in that whole process. So Mission Ocean is an example of what we are currently doing, an example of innovation, but an example of things that we need to build on through employing new technologies. Slightly less technical, but also innovative types of program of reaching out to our K through 12 partners is the sailing program by the Indiana Sailing Association. Jeff Barrows is a faculty member at Purdue Calumet, and Jeff has established this organization in 1989 to sponsor youth sail training. But the idea was not just to get students out into the lake sailing, take advantage of the beautiful environment we have in this area, but the idea was to teach these students that there are opportunities out there that they may not have ever dreamed about before. And they teach them math skills, they teach them science skills. But again, it's a situation where the students are having so much fun, they don't even know that they're learning until they actually bring it back to them and say, you know what you just did? You used geometry when you did this. And they're amazed, and sometimes this is what hooks kids on the idea of going on and to explore a career in the sciences, going on to the idea of going to college, getting additional degrees. So this is an example, again, of something that is really, really something innovative and engaging that we need to be doing more of, and we need to be thinking about, are there other things that we can do to engage students in a little bit different way and make them start thinking about these possibilities? Jeff told me to let you all know that they not only teach STEM education, they teach STEAM education because they integrate science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. So the addition of the arts is the important part of that. So the second way I think that higher education needs to come to the forefront in terms of innovation is the embracing of new technologies. We need to become tech-fluencers. Now, I had never heard of this term before I started doing some research for this presentation, but it really describes to me what higher education needs to be about. And Chen's Civis Center here is a great example of that. But more of us need to be doing these types of things. So we need to be individuals and institutions that are driving innovation and making a commitment to developing cutting-edge research and also technology. In the education area, we need to be thinking about how do we use all these emerging technologies like these Google glasses, and you see them up here, they come in many colors, and figuring out how we can use those new technologies to engage our students in higher education, to be more effective at what we do, and to be able to, again, transform the learning environment from an environment where there's passive learners that are recipients of knowledge, and change that to people that are fully engaged in the learning process and actually creating knowledge. So we need to look at some of these technologies. The Google glasses, how many of you have a pair of Google glasses? One, yay, good for you. I was very excited to learn today that we have some because I have lots of ideas of how we can use this and how we educate our nursing students. But basically, they're like a cell phone almost in eyeglasses. And they're verbal command, they respond to verbal commands. And so some examples of how these have been used in higher education is to create videos from the perspective of the person that is doing the activity. So think about how that might impact some of the education and training of skills that we do today. We can do videos of people performing skills, and that gives people a certain perspective. We have this immersive technology, but quite frankly, it's expensive and time-consuming to develop, so it needs to be reserved for specific applications. But something like this, an instructor can go in an area, say a doctor can go into surgery, put the Google glasses on, video what the whole process of making the incision, doing the surgery, and then upload that video to medical students who can then begin to see what it is when they go in there and they begin to operate on somebody. They know exactly what more of what that experience is actually going to be like. You know, what an amazing thing. What an amazing creation. The Pebble Watch is another example. That's basically a watch cell phone. And that's another area that is able to be used quite a bit in education. Very similar to how we use some of our cell phones right now in classes. And the last area is to take advantage of gaming technologies that, similar to that Mission Ocean, but doing it at a higher level that will engage our educational students. And then finally, Northwest Indiana higher education needs to focus on expanding collaborations. We need to do a better job of collaborating between Ivy Tech and higher four-year institutions like Purdue Calumet, Purdue North Central, Valparaiso University, IU Northwest, so that we make the process of moving students from Ivy Tech into the four-year universities seamless and very easy to manage, so that students not only will graduate from the college degree, but they'll do so in 3 years or 4 years, not 6 years or 10 years. We also need to engage the higher education community with the community around us. So Chen's area, we need to be doing things like what Civis is doing. We need to be partners with business and industry, and we're doing some of those things now, but we need to continue to create and to do more of that. And finally, I can't end this without saying that higher ed in 2014 will mean a new Purdue University for Northwest Indiana. When I was given this and asked to speak here today, that wasn't the case, but this idea of innovation is actually exemplified by this idea of the unification of the two campuses. And I think that new campus will allow us to have a more vibrant university in Northwest Indiana, bigger Purdue presence, expansion of programs while still providing an affordable education. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you very much. Now it is my honor to introduce our seventh panelist, Donald Babcock, Director of Economic Development, NIPSCO. Don also serves as the board governor with the Society of Innovators. Don.
Well, thank you very much, John. I think I have a slide here somewhere. Oh, please do it. I haven't seen this slide yet, but that's about what I was thinking of. All right, let me just try to pick it up a little notch. We have all these distinguished speakers here in front of me, but let me start by saying I am so proud to be from this university. And I know Stu and I are both graduates from Purdue Calumet, and I'm also so proud of the collaboration between the Purdue North Central, Purdue Calumet, Ivy Tech, Valparaiso, IUN, and all the other institutions that we have in Northwest Indiana, probably Nesson Calumet College or something else. One of the statistics I routinely talk about is, at the heyday in Northwest Indiana, I went through this statistic leaf with some help from David Blumenthal, and this morning even with Eric Dombrowski from the Workforce Development Group here at Central Workforce Innovation, is in 1978, we're at the peak of our economy, if you will. The average wage in the 4 counties in Northwest Indiana, not all 7, but just the 4 counties in Northwest Indiana, was 125% of the national average. We were making 25% more than anybody else in the nation here in Northwest Indiana. Let's fast forward 30 years to 2008. We're making 89%. And consolidation of the steel industry is what did it, right? You take 50,000 jobs, maybe 60,000 a year. It's a $3 billion hit on our economy. A big challenge for us to overcome, but not insurmountable. So this morning I checked, well, have we turned the corner yet? So the latest data I could get was in 2011. We're still stuck at 89%. And there's no reason for us to stay at 89% when we have all these great assets and these great people. So the imperative for us really is to understand our economy and the innovative things that are happening in our economy. And that starts within our individual organizations and also the organizations that we're trying to attract to Northwest Indiana. So if I was to go around some of the places here in Northwest Indiana, if I was to pick out Lake County here, I do have a laser, I'm not sure it works here somewhere, high tech, right? All right, so for those of you that don't know where Lake County is, it's here on this thing called the Lake Michigan, and it's right next to Chicago. But up here, we have this really cool place up in East Chicago, right? Research and Development Center of all of North America for ArcelorMittal, the best steels in the nation, designed right here, East Chicago. Who's bragging about what's going on there? They got the rest in motion going, right? Steel in motion. British Petroleum. There's a reason they're investing $4 billion in Whiting, or 4.5 now, 4.8, somewhere in that range. Who's counting? Okay, over $4 billion. It's because it's a strategic location. The access to markets. We have big pipes run through this area. This thing called Lake Michigan concentrated. All this infrastructure through here. We have these tremendous assets. BP's figured it out. U.S. Steel's figured it out. ArcelorMittal's figured it out. What about the rest of us? Have we figured it out? Let's go on down a little bit farther south in Lake County. Let's go down, I think that's I-65. Okay, I-65, here in Hobart. Anybody ever hear of a place called Northwind Crossings? Northwind Crossings, right? New Light Industrial Park. How about Hanson Logistics? Anybody hear of Hanson Logistics? Crossroads of America, right? They get it. They're distributing products all around the Midwest. Refrigerator freezer place. They're in their third expansion. Let's go a little bit farther south here. Take it on down farther, I-65 down here. Let's hit Newton County. Fair Oaks Farms, right? Stu's right on top. He's a Purdue Calumet grad. Yeah, but I took another year for me to graduate. I did graduate near the top of my class, though, alphabetically. But anyway, I think it was last year, you know, their, if you will, manure to power concept, manure to gas concept, displaced 2 million gallons of diesel fuel by running CNG produced from the manure from the cows. Anybody been down to the pig adventure yet? Then they got the dairy adventure, you know, but they have the pig adventure. I think the pigs are a little bit more committed, though, than the cows. But I hear it's a good deal. But the point is, the reason that is there is because they have competitive advantage there. They're on I-65. They weren't coming there if we didn't put a new interchange on I-65, and they worked back with the governor's office to actually make that happen. How about let's flip over to Porter County. Everybody hear of this place called Valparaiso? Big university there, right? Good Ivy Tech schools there. Purdue's got facilities there. Ivy Tech's got facilities there. You got all stuff going there, right? But you also have this place called Pratt Industries. The new Pratt facility, right? We've been chasing that project for 10 years. Finally got it. Strategic advantage. They're going to bring in a lot of waste paper, create cardboard out of it. Great, 100 new jobs. $225 million investment. We got to go a little farther north, right? Ursa Labs. Who knows what Ursa Labs makes?
Food processing.
Food processing. World-renowned food processing. Right here in our backyard. Who's bragging about Urshel when they go talking to somebody? Let's go up here a little bit farther north, right? This thing called the Port of Indiana. Access to the world. You go through the ports of Chicago, down Mississippi, or you can go up through the St. Lawrence, right? Internationally connected. Let's see, go over here to LaPorte County. Leadership in that community decided that their industrial park was too small. They got together with the mayor, the Reed Vaughan Commission, some existing TIF dollars, doubled the size of their industrial park. What do you hear of American licorice? And like Twizzlers, those kind of things, right? I'm sure that's a brand, that's what they make there, but it's a big deal. We should be bragging about that too. They doubled the size of their industrial park, and now they're going to have a new announcement coming up this year. Kingsbury Elevator, a little bit farther south, that's been coming a long time. I think that's eventually going to get done. Stark County, new lead track, community gets together, $1 million put into the track expansion, into their industrial park. Now the industrial park keeps growing. because they got competitive advantage, ingenuity, innovation. So our challenge today around the 7-county area in particular, and John and Muriel and our whole team do such a phenomenal job in terms of understanding where is the innovation and making it come forward. And I'm also pleased to see our friends here from Elevate Ventures and also Purdue County Met, and that the three of you working together. You know, the Society of Innovators is doing pretty good. We've got 300 people in the society, right? My pitch by 2024, we got to have at least 800, maybe 1,000. Why not? Why not? It's the only way we're going to turn the corner from the 89%. Let's be less than the nation by 11%. Well, we got all this stuff. Everybody else is the envy. The other thing I get a chance to do in my job is I'm covering all of northern Indiana. I'm covering 30 counties. I'm around the state. I'm in all different places. And they look at us like, you guys got all those assets. What you doing with them? We're finally, Mayor Sturr, we're going to have a lakefront restaurant. How long's the Red Lantern been gone? We're going to go eat on the lake. We're going to be envious of those guys over there in Chicago. They got to be envious of us. We got to build some more high-rise, and we need a convention center on the lake. We got to capitalize and get people down to that lake. We got clean air, we got clean water, we got clean soil now, we got innovative people. We got everybody moving in the right direction. And do we have enough will to get it done? And count me in, by the way. We're all in. And my company, too. Let's go. Thank you.
Now it is my honor to introduce Brandon Griffin, COO, SMDG LLC. Brandon is the youngest fellow to be inducted into the society. Please welcome Brandon Griffin, representing the next generation. Brandon Griffin.
Thank you, John. Ladies and gentlemen, innovation, Northwest Indiana, 2024. Innovation is the application of better solutions that meet new requirements. He's got it. Better solutions and new requirements. New requirements and better solutions. 10 years from now, and ladies and gentlemen, that will only be the beginning. There will be a new set of requirements, a new set of expectations, and a new set of unarticulated needs that our region, Northwest Indiana, as a people, as a place, and as a culture will have to meet. And we'll only be able to meet these new requirements and these new expectations through four things. Through more effective products, more effective processes, more effective services, and more effective technologies. And when you hear me say more effective, don't just think about general improvement, because innovation differs from improvement in that innovation refers to the notion of doing something different rather than doing the same thing better. And I'm sure we all know how that saying goes, and our CEO, Milton Thaxton at SMDG, always says this: it's near insanity to continue to do the same thing over and over and expect different results. And I also think that it's important to note that innovation is different from invention. Invention refers to more directly the creation of the idea or the method, and innovation refers to the use of it. Now, remember this. Well, we don't remember this because you weren't here. But in the 1800s, the first mechanical rail transport systems appeared in England. Now, more than 200 years later, the very thing that was a critical part in the Industrial Revolution still plays a critical role here in Northwest Indiana. I'm talking about transportation. I'm talking about how, if all goes well and according to the plans that we've all heard about, 10 years from now, the innovation in Northwest Indiana will be how the newly expanded rail system is connecting our region as a place and our people to greater opportunities. greater opportunities to meet those unarticulated needs of today and the new expectations of tomorrow. And I'm not talking about inventing the trains, because the trains have already been invented. I'm talking about innovation, the use of, to make our region even more promising. And that's what our generation is looking for. Millennials want to be in promising environments. This age of social media has elevated our culture. We are a generation of creators, a generation of contributors, a generation of collaborators. And people, especially millennials, want to be a part of something that's greater than themselves. We want to be a part of causes and movements. And the technologies that are innovatively being used are making it easier for these people to find these opportunities and connect with others who may not look like you at first glance, but are very much like-minded. I'm talking about diversity. And it's been said that one of our region's greatest assets is our diversity. And just as we've made concerted efforts to make sure and to ensure our region continues to innovate in the area of transportation, we need to do the same in the area of technology and communication and leverage our region's diversity. And I'm not just talking about our ethnicity. I'm talking about communication between the generations of people. We need bridge gappers between the millennials and the retiring baby boomers. How will Northwest Indiana innovatively embrace social technologies to improve communications from person to person, business to business, business to consumer, and ladies and gentlemen, local to global. Local to global, and that's huge because unlike it was just a few years ago, today's generation, the expectation is, the requirement is that we will be able to compete globally. And as a region, we need to ensure that this generation, this next generation, will have the resources, will have the tools that they need to do so. Because ultimately, their success will be the success of our region. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brandon Griffin. I am an entrepreneur, I'm an innovator, and as COO of SMDG Social Media Development Group, I encourage you all to visit our website because every day we're innovating. Our website is smdgnwi.com, and if you go there, you'll see how we're using social technologies to work with our region's businesses and assist them in building capacity in the area of social communications. Because even when it comes to marketing, it's not just about talking to one another, it's about developing relationships, having conversations, and building community. And all of that is synonymous with innovation. Thank you.
Brandon Griffin, in the interest of your time and getting you out, we're going to go to closing remarks. Thank you. First, please, I want to ask these panelists to please stand and be recognized for a fabulous job. Please. Standing job. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Wow. I mean, what questions did you really have asked that hasn't been answered already? I mean, we really had some wonderful comments from our panelists and really appreciate, all the things that you have said and done for us. That innovation will become the goal of every regional organization because I think 2014 should be the year of breakout. That innovation will become the aspiration of community and regional government. That innovation will be part of every mission of our business, industry, and nonprofit. That innovation will be the aim of leaders across the 7 counties of Northwest Indiana or across the country, as Stu has reminded us. Why not make 2014 the breakout year for all kinds of great things for our region? So what's our greatest challenge? It's simple. It's the belief by some, and maybe ourselves, that we cannot do great things. That some other community, some other region can do great things, but not Northwest Indiana. So here's how we're going to achieve this. So this is what we are suggesting. That we embrace the spirit of today's meeting and designate our region as an innovation region. Why not become one of the first in the nation to embrace regional innovation as our vision? In an innovation-driven world, why not Northwest Indiana? On this point, I am sure economic development for Northwest Indiana will build on the foundation of creativity and innovation. These pillars will be the strategic tools for us to become known as a region of innovation. Meanwhile, if you would like to know more about information about the Society of Innovators in Northwest Indiana, we invite you to our exciting new website, courtesy of SMDG, thank you so much, Brandon, LLC, at www.nwisoi.org. In closing, our thanks to our panelists, our thanks to Cevas and Purdue for hosting this event, our thanks to Don Babcock and NIPSCO for sponsoring us. Also, know that when you go out and leave here, you have to figure out who your support people are, who's helping you do what you need to do. And as you know, who knows change better than us right now going through our restructuring. And then we have our chancellor who couldn't be with us as I explained today, but we have the support of Axel Sikowski and Dr. Mitchell from our Gary campus, who are now presidents of the campus because we're looking to go that way. So with that, I would like to thank the committee, Doreen Gonzalez-Gaboyan, Linda Robinson, Lynette Fulton Driver, Cheryl Curry, Sandy Jacobs, Jack Morgan, and of course our John Davies. Let's give them a round of applause. And again, let's thank you for coming. Give yourselves a round of applause. Safe trip home, and we'll see you at the next event, April 12th. Take care.